Hello everyone, Eric Santis here, co-founder and business director at BAP Acoustics. Today I'm bringing you the top 5 reasons why many soundproofing projects fail horribly. Before we get started, I'd like to let you all know that acoustic consultants really don't like the term soundproofing. The term implies that noise or sound can be reduced to a level of inaudibility, and in most cases, that's completely unrealistic. For example, you might have STC 60 or 65 rated party walls in your apartment building, but you can still hear your neighbor screaming next door. This is because the human ear is incredibly sensitive to small fluctuations in sound pressure level. And so, setting up an unreasonable expectation for rendering something to a level of inaudibility represents the first reason why many soundproofing projects tend to fail. The second reason why soundproofing projects tend to fail is over-reliance on a particular product. It's important to understand that products in the acoustic industry are marketed very similarly to sports nutrition supplements. Marketers might have you think that their particular supplement is the one that's going to give you the biggest muscles, when in fact it's just part of a whole regime, when in the sense that, if you want to grow muscles, you need to go to the gym and work out regularly and eat right. And the same thing happens in the acoustic industry, where you might be presented with a particular product that might make you think that if you put that in your assembly that all your problems are going to be solved. The reality is that any product in a wall or floor ceiling assembly is just one element of a complete system, and you have to look at everything together as a whole. For example, you might be looking into the purchase of perhaps some kind of resilient floor to perhaps achieve a particular IIC rating or impact insulation class rating. It's important to note that the underlay itself actually doesn't carry an IIC rating. The IIC rating is determined in a laboratory on a complete floor ceiling system, and the underlay is only one part of that system. And that system that had been tested to achieve a particular IIC rating might be very, very different than the assembly that you have in your home. The third reason why many soundproofing projects fail is because of flanking sound transmission. Flanking sound transmission means sound transmitting from one space to the next through something other than the wall or floor ceiling assembly that is separating two adjacent spaces. In some cases, I've seen individuals and clients spending upwards of $30,000 or more on upgrading a demising wall, only to find that they've had little to no benefit. And the reason for that is because they've completely overlooked addressing issues of flanking sound transmission. You may have experienced a room that has a common duct with another space in the building, and you can hear everything that's going on in that space. Sound transmission through ductwork is what we refer to as crosstalk, and this is an example of flanking sound transmission. Reason number 4. Sound absorption versus sound transmission. One common mistake is installing acoustic panels on walls and ceilings with the expectation that that will control sound traveling from one space to the next. Acoustic panels are designed to control the reverberant character of a space. They do this by controlling reflections within the room by means of sound absorption. For example, acoustic panels can make a room that sounds very live, like this, into a sound that sounds more clear and intelligible, like this. Acoustic panels do not stop sound from traveling from one space to the next. To do that, mass is required, and that means using materials that are heavy, like concrete, masonry, and gypsum wallboard assemblies. Absorption and transmission control rely on two different physical principles, and confusing the two can lead to unnecessary spending and little to no benefit in acoustic isolation. Reason number 5. Soundproofing gets cut during budget review. In many projects, acoustic measures are actually identified very early in the design process. The problem is that as budgets tighten, these acoustic design measures are reduced or removed before construction even begins, through a process that is commonly known as value engineering. Played squash once with an architect who noted jokingly that acoustics and landscaping are the first two elements to be removed from a construction budget. While anecdotal, this does unfortunately represent a fairly common pattern. Because acoustic performance is not visible, it's often treated as optional, even though its removal can have a major impact on how the building will feel once occupied. Unfortunately, soundproofing measures are best incorporated at the time of construction, and it can become very expensive to incorporate such measures post-occupancy. As both an engineer and business person, it genuinely pains me to see money being spent on soundproofing projects that deliver little value. If you're considering making a significant investment into a soundproofing project for your home or office, I genuinely recommend hiring an acoustic consultant to help you along the way. They'll be able to help you identify challenges that are specific to your building environment and give you targeted advice to ensure that the outcome is consistent with the intended purposes of your project. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on our next video about pickleball noise. Bye-bye.